Yeah, you guys have been talking. What about some examples?
This is all in the abstract, but at least it gives you some rough idea. Let's go through a few examples.
Yeah.
For that, I think we may have to erase everything and then take the viewers through some of the examples. What example should we choose?
Hey, how does astrology fit into all this?
That's an interesting question. So let us ask the question.
How do you find out whether astrology is knowledge or something like superstition?
Yes. So we need to figure out. Here is the question. Is astrology knowledge or superstition? The way to approach this question is to begin by asking, what does astrology claim? There are two parts to astrology. One, there is a theory, and it involves various planets and so on. But then, the outcome of the theory of astrology, yes, at least as far as Indian astrology is concerned, is a claim that there is a connection, there is a, let me use the word correlation. Correlation between two things. One, the time of one's birth. The time, the date, year, and everything. And this is connected to events in one's life. That's a correlation.
In one sense, there's an obvious one, right? Your birthday comes depending on the time.
Yes. But the question is, if suppose I claim that if you tell me the exact time of birth, the month and the year of some person, I can predict when that person would die.
Oh,
that is very interesting.
Yeah, that would
it's
be
not
nice.
something that we would, we would take as it may be, for example, a traffic accident. How can you predict traffic accidents?
Yeah.
Astrology claims that there is a correlation between them. So it says you can predict.
So does that imply that every single person born at a particular time on a particular day will have the same life?
Whether it is individual prediction or highly probabilistic prediction, I don't know. Since I don't know enough astrology, I cannot answer that question. I'm not an astrologer.
Okay.
I'm only saying, how can we investigate that question?
Yeah.
So here's a way of investigating that question. If this is the claim that astrology is making, and this is mediated through planetary positions and so on, let's ignore that aspect.
Yeah.
The theory part. At least this is what it predicts. So suppose we take a large number of people, let us say about 100 people. We know their time of birth, and we do not tell the astrologer who it is.
Yeah.
It's blind.
Yeah.
The astrologer should never know. We also know their life's events. So for example, we know how old they are. Well, that we can figure out from here. But we know whether they are married or not. We know if they are married twice, how many wives they have had, how many children they have, or what their parents and so on. None of this the astrologer would know. Or if they have had serious sicknesses, what kind of job they have. Yeah. Now, you get about, let's say, 6 or 10 famous astrologers, good people who are famous for making correct predictions. We don't know whether the predictions are true or not. And we give this information to all the 10 astrologers and check first of all if they make the same predictions. So if one astrologer predicts that the person would die when the person is 40 years old, another one says 60 years old, obviously they are not, right? Then you will suspect there is no theory behind it.
Yeah.
But if all of them make the same prediction, that itself is interesting. And then we can also check if the predictions are correct.
Yeah.
If the predictions are correct, I don't know if anybody has actually done that study, then I would say astrology is knowledge.
Yeah, if the predictions are correct, yeah.
Right. Then you can ask, are the predictions correct because of
the theory, or is
the theory, or is it something else?
Yeah.
We can check that. That's a second level question.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to check the theory if the predictions are false anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of investigating this question.
Okay.
Right. I hope that gives the viewers some idea of what we mean by inquiry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's take some other question.
Tara, any other
What question should we take?
Yeah, if I want to go from, let us say, my home to the airport, and I want to find out what the fastest way to get there is, how would inquiry help?
I usually ask Google. But you're asking the question.
I'm asking if it's possible within inquiry. Is it?
Yeah.
Is that?
So you're saying that if you didn't have access to say,
Right.
Yeah.
I
And
know-
also, Google will give you the fastest route at a particular time. I want to know the fastest route, in general, not a particular time. So how will you proceed to investigate that question? Notice that this means fastest route.
Yeah, I'm not asking about the shortest route.
Yeah.
yeah, shortest route is easy to.
Yeah.
Not shortest.
Yeah.
So what kind of considerations should we pay attention to when we investigate this question? I guess this depends upon how you are traveling, right? Are you walking? Are you on a bicycle? Are you on a motorbike, car?
Are you taking a bus?
Right, or a train? So,
Shall we narrow it down to a car?
okay, so your question has to be specific,
Yeah.
right? So fastest route by car.
And I know that it's about 20 kilometers, roughly.
How will that?
You
You
mean
mean
as
the
as-
distance?
As the crow flies 20 kilometers.
Oh, I see. Okay, but you're taking not as the crow flies, but through a particular. Yeah. Okay. So on the road.
Yeah, it's not a flying car.
Yeah, that's right. So we have to consider what the variables will be. So by variable, the things that would change. So time, of course, will be important because maybe at between 10 and 11, the fastest route will be 1.
Yeah.
But between 11 and 12, the fastest route will be something else.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so you have to pay attention to that. What else do we have to pay
By
attention to?
time you mean time of day when you are
Time of
traveling.
the day, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So during peak hours, for example, the situation
So
might
traffic-
change.
In fact, even day of the week,
Yeah.
because some days there's never any traffic.
So what you're really saying is not time and day, but traffic situation.
Like or
Traffic.
at a particular.
Right.
the traffic would depend upon the time and day. So this will also come under.
Wouldn't
That variable.
the number of traffic lights make a difference?
Yeah.
Yes, traffic lights. And you might, the traffic lights again, in some cases, the time allocated traffic lights might change.
So sometimes there are certain events which happen, which like there's a parade or something,
Yeah.
which results in a lot of stoppage of traffic.
Yes.
Are we including those sorts of things?
We should eliminate those things because we are talking about the general aspects.
The
Right?
general.
So here's the situation. Suppose I take a car and travel from A to B
Yeah.
using one route, and then travel from A to B using another route, and you find that this takes less time.
Yeah.
One event. Are you then going to conclude that this is the fastest route? No, because if you did it again,
Yeah. At the same time, it may be different.
so we have to do this several times
Yeah.
and take the average.
Yeah.
So if there are unusual events on some parade or something like that, that will be evened out by if you take that for for a large number of times.
Yeah.
It may also depend upon the person driving the car.
Yeah.
But it may be the case that for you, this route will be good. For me, that route will be good.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
you have-
I'm good in small lanes. I can maneuver the car and
Yeah.
so on. And you drive really fast on a
Absolutely.
straight road.
So you have to take different people, maybe different cars. Some cars will be good for some routes,
Yeah.
and some others in other routes. So we have to pay attention to all the variables and take the average, either that, or you have to say, when you say this is the fastest route, you have to say,
give the assumptions behind.
that's right, this is the fastest route by car during such and such days, in such and such car, when such and such people drive, and so on.
Yeah.
So how general you want it to be, how specific you want it to be, is your choice,
Yeah.
or the employer's choice.
Yeah. And then you might have some roads where there'll be huge variability. Right?
Yes.
In the sense that every alternate day there's something which happens on that road.
Yes.
And then that will complicate things even further.
Yeah. So these are you mentioned variability. That's a very important concept in inquiry, especially when you're dealing with observations about the world, right? There are many situations in which variability is an important factor, and we have to take that into account.
So variability comes into all kinds of subjects, right?
Yes.
So that will also be contribute to the integration.
Yes, the variability is a transdisciplinary notion.
Right.
So it's variable.
Variable is a transdisciplinary notion. And here we said predict.
Yeah.
Predict is a transdisciplinary notion.
Correlation.
Correlation is a transdisciplinary notion.
Right.
I want to add that when we say predict, we don't mean predict future events, foretell events.
Even though here they are foretelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yes.
this particular case.
In that
it is.
particular case it means so, but you can say we can predict what happened 2000 years ago. It is not foretelling future.
Yeah.
So it's a very technical meaning of the word predict.